So taking off the airbag is not as easy as some of the YouTube videos made it seem. I'll show you. The airbag, because I tried to vinyl wrap this without taking it off, and obviously it proved a little ineffective. So I want to clean that up, which means I want to take it off. And I tried to muscle with it, tried to wrestle with it, and it's almost off except for something right here. Same with this piece. I can get it to pop out here, but it's caught on something behind. So these pieces are interconnected somewhere here, under this, and here. So I thought maybe if I take the airbag out. So I disconnected the battery, and you'll see these little holes like you see on the YouTube videos of how to remove the airbag. And I'm just using a little Allen wrench, just something long enough to fish into that hole, and you're feeling for a spring. Now luckily those holes are guides to kind of point you in the right direction, and the hardest one for me to get was the one down here. So I'm going underneath on this side, and I'm prying off the molding so I can see down in there, and I can see the spring itself. I wish I could show you a little bit better, but all I see from this angle is like a little, it looks like the lead from a pencil. It's about the thickness of the lead from a pencil, and it's pointing straight at me, but that's not what you want to move. So I wish I could show you this, putting the device, whether it's a screwdriver or an Allen wrench like this, into this hole, you just want to go figure out where the hole is pointing, and if you fish around a little bit, you'll feel resistance. If you feel resistance, just kind of push on it, and hopefully that's the spot you want. So eventually that's what got me there, but I was able to watch where the Allen wrench was going, and I was kind of aiming in the direction of, I wish I could show you. But anyway, the airbag, I got the airbag off. Oh, so I could see these springs, and I was wondering if the springs was what I was aiming for, and no, it's not. I'm aiming for this bar back there. Let's see, with the airbag out of the way, can I hit that again? Yes. So can you see where my Allen wrench is? Right below that is a metal rod, right there. And if you can get that metal rod, it'll push up on that and it'll release this spring. Okay, so this will be the only piece that I actually get to wrap properly. I kind of did my best to clean up these pieces, but with this, because of how oddly shaped it is, I think I'm gonna do, can you see that triangle right there? I think I'm gonna put a little bit of red vinyl down in the corners. First I'm gonna fit it and try to get the vinyl to adjust to the shape before I try to stick it. And there's things like this corner here, I could probably cut that whole thing, because if these two walls form together, then you won't even see any silver if I cut this excess right there. So I'm probably going to cut that before I stick it down. This side doesn't seem to want to do that, so I'm not going to force it to. But again, this is the under layer, just in case when I put the over layer, then this will prevent you from seeing silver underneath. So I'm adhering it one side, and then I'll peel the paper off as I go so I can lay it and not have to reapply and re-stick. Even though this vinyl is good at reapplying and re-sticking, it's just easier to try to do it this way. You can see where I cut that excess. It's working as planned. And alternatively, you can cut it after the fact. So I've squeezed those ones together, and now I'll try to cut it. Once I had cut it, you could see the silver underneath. So I just folded one half under the other half. So I got it cut, and then I tried to rip it the rest of the way, and that is what happens if you rip it. It kind of bubbles, stretches unevenly. So I would not advise ripping it the rest of the way, just give it a clean cut. One of the other difficult things is measuring how much to cut. So I'm going to take the piece I want to wrap, I'm going to put it under the vinyl, and sort of like what you do if you wrap a present is you want to roll the object. So I need it to cover this side, so let's just start there, and I will lay it flat, and then I will roll it. And because I want it to also fill this void, I'm going to need to press the vinyl down into the void and then roll it the rest of the way. And that is about where I should cut it, because we want to be tucking it. So we want maybe an 1/8 or a 1/16 of an inch excess to be able to wrap all the way around. The vinyl wrap I have has these grids on the back, so I know that's about as far as I need, so I'll cut a straight line. The piece cut, I'll do the same thing I was showing you earlier. I'll try to get it to bend, and then I maybe cut some of the excess before I stick it on. So I find it cooperates best to start with the edges. So I've started with these long edges, and I've tried to line up with the lower edge, and then I'm trying to work it in, working it inwards, and it seems to cooperate doing that. Just cut the 4 corners of the square, because I don't need that much excess, and I don't want to block these clips. So I want to end the screw hole. I want that to go back on the steering wheel properly. So, question: dealing with this bottom edge, I could either tuck. I think I'm going to tuck the bottom edge first, which will then, I believe, it will make the corners look neater, as opposed to doing the corners first and then tucking the bottom. See, I think that'll make a triangle outward. But if you took the bottom first and then the sides, it'll make the corner, what I would think, downward instead of outward. Okay, I think I'm ready to start peeling. So I've adhesed the bottom, and I've started peeling almost to the top, but not quite, and I'm just kind of working my way. And I don't want too much of a point, so I'm going to try to get the bottom edge, and then I will smooth the corner over inwards. And naturally you're going to get folds here on the front, so I'm trying to, if I see a fold, I want to lift this upward and bring the fold in and up. And that means that now that I've done the bottom, instead of trying to stick this edge, I'm actually working my way inward. So I went from the bottom up, and I'm trying to get this surface to stick before I try to get the other surfaces. And just trying to smooth out these sorts of creases that are forming. Work them towards the edges, if possible. So this is a little bit stuck up here, so I'm gonna not get it to stick here just yet. I'll do the same to this side. I need 2 hands. I'm aiming for that inner corner, and if that's the way I like it, then I can start moving up the edge this way. So here are the creases I'm talking about. So I'm going to go up and to the, I'm going to kind of twist those counterclockwise to get them out. Now this part in the middle isn't going to show, so I'm just going to snip and fold so it's a neat edge. Okay, so I have snipped the corners there, and so I want to fold this flap over to the other side and trim if necessary. Alright, so we've got these 2 plus signs on the back of the piece. So I've made a slit on the inside of each plus sign, and I will cut the excess so that this middle piece will fold in between the two plus signs. Okay. And that should hold that in place. And now I can work on the corners here. Okay, and working down there, it revealed that I had been shifting a little too much to this lower edge, and I need to bring this upper edge down to cover the silver spot. So one remedy is to pull that down, which is going to cause maybe another crease there in the upper angle there. So again, the same way I fix those creases, I might trim and then tuck. That's probably the best way, is maybe make the crease in the vinyl and then trim it. It's a little unfortunate because it'll look like there's two pieces because it'll have like a line in the pattern. But, you know, it's on the edge. It will be visible, but I think it shouldn't deter too much from the product, from the final product. And the inside, there are these ribs, so I'll need to trim around the ribs. Okay, so I have adjoined the vinyl. That is the line that I'm not going to get rid of. So I'm going to trim it, and then I will use the excess to tuck. So I'm not going to trim it too close, or else there will be a silver line beneath as well. So cutting it close, but not super close, giving maybe a millimeter or so. Okay, so that's the trim, and now to tuck. So I peeled them apart, and I laid the under one first, and now I will overlay the top part. So again, it's less than ideal, but this will be tucked up under there, so it's not the worst outcome. So hopefully it'll stick. Heat would also help it stick. So I cut that so that I could fold it in, and now I'm going to need to cut again to get it to lay smoothly. I'm coming into the same situation on the other side. There will have to be a crease, and this one will have to be a little bit lower. So, you know, again, less than ideal, but it's kind of what you expect out of these oddly shaped with dimension. It's not just a surface. You have all these weird angles, so chances are you're gonna have to snip in places. So we'll see how it turns out. Or I could do what I tried to do with this down here, put a piece underneath so that I know there won't be silver showing, and then if the vinyl doesn't quite make it, at least there's an under layer. Okay, with the under layer in place, let's see if I can get this to fold without using a crease. Okay, so I'm going to have to cut from the inside to allow that excess to lay so the outside can be straight. Okay, so as I've done that, I tried to whittle all of the creases into one big crease, and then I will snip and tuck. Okay, so I've snipped. Now I'm going to separate them, and I'm going to try to tuck the lower layer and then fold the upper layer over it. Okay, just a few more tucks, and I think I want to snip this. I'm not sure what to do with this little triangle piece. I guess I can snip it. Yeah. Okay. But this is where we're at. So one more edge, and then I'm wrapped up. Okay, so I slid it back in just like this. It goes under the black piece there. These little feet, these little hooks grab on onto there by that screw. underneath both black pieces. It should just slide in. And then I need to replace that screw. Next, I'll reattach the pieces to the airbag. And in case you're wondering, they are pretty clearly marked. Okay, with those 3 wires connected, I'm lining up the airbag as it should. I'm just going to give it a push. 3 clicks, and it should be in. Got some vinyl stuck to me. Okay, so I mean, I don't know if it's as perfect as I envisioned, but given the fact that I can't take all these pieces off, it's a lot better than what it was. Mention, even with the battery unplugged, I had the key turned to the accessories on. Okay, I had it turned the accessories on so that I could have power steering effectively without the battery. You know what I mean? The steering wheel would move freely because it had locked. Even though the battery was undone, I was able to do that, and I could move the steering wheel freely. So it works. This is what I'm dealing with. So next time I'm gonna do this and do this. My original plan backfired. I put this layer underneath just in case I wasn't able to get the vinyl covered, and it effectively worked because I can see it underneath the layer. So, lesson learned. Straight line, it wouldn't be such a big deal, but it looks odd because it's not a straight line. But this is my first try with vinyl,